that's published out on Vercel using the HAX command line interface. So I'm on HAX, hax.psu.edu, and if I scroll down a little bit, we'll see there's some stats and things about the project, but there's the CLI, know the terminal, right there. Now, if you jumped into, learning HAX, it's on that homepage. I'm just skipping one step there. But what you're going to need for this tutorial is a GitHub account, which I got here. I'll get ready to make a new repo, and npm installed or Node.js so that we can run this command. So I'm going to run npm init at HAX the web. You're going to get rockets that are lifting off, and today we are going to go to the third option, which is create a web component. So a web component is a brand new HTML tag that works anywhere. I'm going to make it relative to this folder, and this element that we're going to be making today, oh goodness, what do we want to call it? I'm looking for something fun here. I don't have anything. Nothing's coming to mind. We'll just say my element. All right. So I'm going to be the author of this element, and we are going to install this. We are going to launch it, and we are going to put it in version control. And those are by default. If you use the space bar, you could not put it in version control, which doesn't make any sense. But anyway, it's going to suggest a possible repo location. Now, I'm almost positive I already have something called my element. So I'm going to give this the ever popular my element 2. All right. And it's suggested this repo location. Now, it's not going to push the code up there, but it's trying to help you get a little bit further down the way. All right, so I hit enter, and while that's running, I'm going to be on GitHub. I'm going to make a new repo. I'm going to get interrupted here at some point, which will be fun. I'm going to make a new public repo. As I said, it's my element 2. I'm not going to initialize it with anything. HAX is doing that for me. So we'll create a new repo. That was really hard. And now what we are waiting for is, that to happen. Hey, almost timed perfectly. So what has happened is it dropped into a sub process, as it says, and it says, hey, your component is available at this address, and we've launched it from here. If you need to get to this folder, here's how you get there. If you need to work with it later, here's what you do. All the things that you want to do in order to work with this. So I'm actually going to copy the code command. I'm going to hold Control-Shift-N, which for me is going to open a new browser, or sorry, a new terminal window. And then I'm going to paste that into the terminal. All right, so this is the code powering that element that you see on the other side. Would you like to add it? It should be in get ignore. It's a little weird that it's not. Anyway, all right, so we've got that there, and now what we want to do is shift to kind of like a 2, and I go sort of like this, 50-50 split, right? We've got 2 main files we're going to work with, and everything I'm saying right now is over here in how to develop, which is awesome. So I can go to the index.html, and we can modify this file. Now, if I'm cleaning out the example data, for example, I could get rid of these. We'll modify that, hit save, and you see it changed some CSS variables involved. I can take out all these tutorials below if I really want to. Now, I know how this stuff works, but I highly recommend you read through what these tutorials are, gets into how to use our design system, join the community, learn HTML, CSS, all the goodies that are required to make a web component right there. But I am going to delete those so I can clean this up to just make it a single element right there. Right, so in its purest form, this is effectively all we need. All right, I have something saying, hey, there's an element, and my element, heck, I can even get rid of that, and we can get rid of that, and we can change this from title to cool stuff. And voila, we have it. Now, the big deal with web components, in my opinion, right? Now I've got a whole bunch of them. By itself, not a big deal. But now, when we go into the source of that element everything is by reference to that one definition. So we are defining a new HTML tag. And we can define properties on that. This could be like this dot cool equals false, and so it's not a cool element by default. Then I'm going to add properties, and that's going to be cool type boolean reflect true. And at first, that's not going to do anything, right? And now I'm going to come over here, and the very first element I have, I'm going to write cool. And actually, we'll do it on this one and some other random, all right? So we've got three elements that are cool, and right now, nothing cool is happening. But we've added this property, which defaults to false, and now we're going to be able to add additional styling based on that. And so we can say, when things are really cool, we're actually going to adjust the font size. And the font size as default is going to be extra large. There we go. Right, so we're able to form a sustainable API by which there's this contract with the DOM. You make little tweaks. We have a singular definition that's referenced in a whole bunch of places back to one source. And then we make those changes, and we effectively have a new element, a new API, a new way of interfacing with that. And we can do lots of really cool stuff with that, not just things that say cool stuff. So make an orange background on those just so we see them. And then I could actually add other web components in this. I could import other components that have previously been made and start building on top of these, like nesting dolls or like a big Lego set, if you will. So right now we just have that it has a wrapper and the title, and we also, sure, let's do a conditional. So let's say this dot cool, and what you're seeing here, this is lit syntax. So this is some syntactical sugar right here. However, it's not really that much because this is a ternary statement, which is sitting inside of a template literal. So you'll notice there's this little tiny backtick that's passing this work into the HTML function that we see there, but template literals are special in that you can pass variables into them like so, and there's a lot of other cool things about them I won't get into now. So let's say if we're cool, really cool, right? And if we're not really cool, then we just don't do anything. All right, and so I've conditionally written the word really cool just based on updating a variable. All right, so this is already has built-in support for HAX. We'll show later videos in which this gets wired up directly to a HAX editable site so that you can start defining your own tags and just drag and drop them down on the page. But we want to publish this demonstration for other people, mainly me, if you're taking one of my classes, to do something meaningful with. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to go back to this running task. We're going to exit by hitting Control-C, and we'll go down to quit. All right, it gives you some things about, hey, here's how you can join the community, get more involved. So I'm going to go to my element. Is it not called my element? Oh, I did just call it my element, but it's hooked up to my element too. That's not confusing, right? So get status. We'll see we have a bunch of things that have changed. And so I'm going to do that. A git commit m initial commit. And let's see, push origin main. And if we go over to our repo here, we've got our code up there. Woo! Okay. Now, one last thing here. If we look at our package.json, we'll see that there is a build command. And so I am going to hook this up to Vercel, which is my favorite way of wiring up projects for continuous build integration. But so I'm Vercel.com. I'm going to import my Git repo, which in this case is my element 2. And if everything goes right, I should just be able to hit deploy. And so it's going to queue it up, and Vercel is going to actually go clone the project, run npm install, run npm run build, and then whatever gets spit out the other side, it's going to throw up and statically publish for us. So it shouldn't take very long. You can see it's snagging some dependencies in there. Already done. And there's our really cool stuff. So now this is at a live web address that you can get to, right? Now, if I do npm publish, I can get this published out and distributed on npm for other people to take the really cool stuff element. But I hope this is informative as to how you can get started with web components and using the HAX command line interface in order to do so. If you want to learn more about the project, go to hax.psu.edu. You can learn how to get involved. The fact that it does way more than just make singular web components, it makes full websites. All that information is there. Ta-ta.